In a quiet town nestled among the pines, an unusual legal battle was brewing. It began like many stories do, with a simple trip to the library. The library, a place of knowledge, escape, and adventure, was frequented by many. But for one woman, it would become the backdrop for a shocking legal confrontation that would capture the attention of the nation. Can you imagine walking into a library, browsing the aisles filled with stories waiting to be told, and then finding yourself embroiled in a lawsuit? This is exactly what happened to a woman named Sarah Davis. Sarah, a mother of two and an avid reader, loved spending her afternoons flipping through the pages of novels, losing herself in the worlds created by authors. However, her love for literature took an unexpected turn. One fateful day, Sarah received a letter from her local library. At first, she thought it was a friendly reminder about an overdue book, but as she read further, her heart sank. The letter stated that she was being sued for failing to return multiple library books. Yes, you heard that right, sued for unreturned library books. The details were outrageous. According to the library records, Sarah had checked out several books over a year prior and had never returned them. The library claimed she owed over $1,000 in fines and replacement costs. Sarah was taken aback. She had no recollection of borrowing any books that she hadn't returned. Confused and frightened, she decided to take action. What would you do in this situation? Many would likely panic, but not Sarah. Instead, she decided to fight back. She filed a countersuit against the library, claiming they had failed to keep accurate records and had failed to notify her of the alleged overdue items in a timely manner. Her determination to clear her name ignited a courtroom battle that would reveal much more than just a simple misunderstanding. As the case unfolded, Sarah's lawyer brought to light some startling facts. It turned out that the library had indeed failed to maintain proper records. Some of the books in question had not been checked out under Sarah's name at all. In fact, evidence suggested that several of the titles had been lost or misplaced due to the library's own negligence. Imagine the atmosphere in the courtroom as these revelations emerged. The tension was palpable. Sarah's legal team presented their case passionately, revealing inconsistencies and errors in the library's record-keeping. They argued that the library was not only trying to collect unjust fees, but was also damaging Sarah's reputation in the community. The library's defense was flimsy at best. They claimed that Sarah had a responsibility to keep track of her borrowed items and that the onus was on her to return them. But as the trial continued, it became clear that this was not just a case about overdue books. It was a matter of accountability and transparency. In a surprising twist, Sarah's lawyer uncovered a policy that had been put in place by the library only a few months before the lawsuit was filed. This policy mandated that patrons must be notified about overdue items via email or phone before any legal action could be taken. Sarah had never received any such notifications. Can you believe this actually happened? The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The judge, clearly intrigued by the unfolding drama, leaned in closer to hear every detail. Sarah's team capitalized on the library's failure to follow its own policies, arguing that they had effectively denied Sarah due process. As weeks passed, the case gained traction in the media. Local news outlets covered the story, sensationalizing the dramatic courtroom exchanges. Headlines read, "Mother sued over library books, a fight for justice and library's negligence exposed in shocking courtroom showdown." The public was captivated by the saga. Many rallied behind Sarah, seeing her as a defender of the little guy against an institution that had lost its way. In the midst of this chaos, Sarah remained focused. She knew that this was about more than just her reputation. It was about the principles of fairness and accountability. She had become a symbol for many who felt powerless against bureaucratic systems. The trial reached its climax on a particularly tense day in court. Both sides presented their final arguments. Sarah's lawyer passionately articulated the injustice of the situation, emphasizing that the library's actions had caused unnecessary stress and embarrassment. The courtroom was silent, hanging on every word. Then it was the library's turn. Their lawyer, flustered and defensive, reiterated that patrons should be responsible for the items they borrow. But the cracks in their defense were beginning to show. The audience could sense the shift in momentum. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the judge issued his ruling. In a dramatic pause, he proclaimed that the library's failure to properly notify Sarah and maintain accurate records was unacceptable. The courtroom held its breath. The judge ruled in favor of Sarah. She was not only relieved of the alleged fines, but the library was ordered to pay her damages for the distress they had caused. Gasps erupted in the room. Sarah's eyes widened with disbelief. She had won. The victory was not just personal. It sent a powerful message to libraries and other institutions everywhere. Accountability matters, transparency is key, and patrons deserve to be treated with respect. But the story didn't end there. Following the ruling, Sarah decided to take her fight a step further. She began advocating for better policies in libraries across the country. She launched a campaign aimed at raising awareness about patrons' rights and the importance of record-keeping in public institutions. Soon, her efforts gained momentum. Sarah spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and appeared on talk shows. She became a voice for those who felt overlooked and marginalized. Can you imagine the impact of her advocacy? She transformed her battle into a movement, inspiring others to stand up for their rights. Meanwhile, the library, once a local institution, faced backlash. Patrons began questioning their practices and demanding reforms. The library board was forced to reconsider their policies and implement changes to prevent similar situations from happening in the future. As the dust settled, the case of Sarah Davis became a landmark moment in the history of public libraries. It illustrated the importance of maintaining accurate records and the need for clear communication with patrons. Sarah's journey from a simple library visit to a nationwide movement was nothing short of extraordinary. Her story is a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected events can lead to significant change. It's about standing up for what is right, even when the odds seem stacked against you. As we reflect on this case, we are left with questions. How often do we take for granted the systems in place around us? What would we do if we found ourselves in a similar situation? Sarah's bravery in the face of adversity teaches us that we all have a voice, and when we use it, we can create ripples of change. In the end, it's not just about unreturned library books. It's about the principles of justice, accountability, and the power of one individual's determination to make a difference. And perhaps the next time you step into a library, you'll think twice about the stories hidden within those walls and the battles that might be fought over them. This case serves as a reminder to all of us to pay attention, to speak up, and above all, to ensure that our voices are heard. What began as a simple misunderstanding transformed into a powerful movement for change, proving that even the smallest acts can lead to the most significant impacts. So next time you borrow a book, remember Sarah Davis and her incredible journey. Because sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that are true.